Good morning, and thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. My name is Alero Edu, and this is Sunrise.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning, and welcome to the program today. Why are you looking at me? I'm not one of the 17 men that gathered in Asaba.
No, you are not.
Yes,
you're not.
And they gathered close to your hometown. So
yes, they did.
Exactly,
they did.
So
yes, to come out with what is now referred to as the Asaba Accord.
The only thing it reminds me of is the Aburi Accord.
Yes.
And I know we all know how that ended. So.
Well. Some people are still threatening, well, not threatening, still giving them the flack for coming out with some of the decisions that they did.
Well, it's not surprising. Every action will always generate a reaction.
Of
you
course.
say something, there will always be a reaction to it. So it's not unexpected, But of the 10 points, one of them is making the most, getting the most attention, which is the ban on open grazing. And I'm even surprised
and
that
the call for restructuring.
The call for restructuring isn't also new. Okay,
it's not new.
Let's add the call for restructuring to the two. Okay, to the list of the ones that are generating the most attention. One of the things a number of people have also said is, look, okay, so you're asking for restructuring. On the one hand, there are those who say that you shouldn't be the ones, because you're elected officers, you shouldn't be the ones calling for it. But then I'm wondering why that is an issue, because on the one hand, in the APC manifestos, according to those who know, restructuring was one of the things that was touted as a party manifesto.
And it's another thing which they use for campaign.
Exactly.
On the basis of which they were elected. Okay. One of the reasons why they were elected.
So if we go in the tangent of, political manifesto, we remember that in the First Republic and in the Second Republic, the party always took the lead in ensuring that their manifesto was acted out in governance. The National Party of Nigeria in the Second Republic was very powerful.
The famous NPN.
The famous NPN was very, very powerful because the national chairman was very vocal and very strong. It's not the same now. In the First Republic, we knew the Prime Minister, but we also knew that the party structure was very, very strong in ensuring that governance was according to the party manifestos.
Yeah.
The UPN in the Southwest had a program. All right. So even in the Second Republic, the UPN had one of their programs was the free education program.
Yep.
Every state where the UPN operated, the party ensured that was done. Can we say the same thing now? So that's on the one hand concerning the.
Sometimes you even wonder about their manifestos. It's not very clear sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, we're just raising the issues now so that, because even then, the politics was still politics, but the national chairman was quite vocal, quite strong in ensuring that government did what the party promised.
Yes.
That was then, and then you're also talking about, restructuring from the angle of, who are the people talking? You shouldn't be elected officers. For God's sake, who else are the people that are supposed to be talking? We elected them to speak for us. Okay, and this thing is not even limited to just the Southwest. It's even Northerners are calling for the same thing. So we should even do away with all of this, regional interests and all. It's got nothing to do with anything.
Senate President said that they should go and restructure their states first.
I agree with him.
Before they begin to call for restructuring
I agree with him
at the
on
center.
That. You know why?
Yeah.
The judicial autonomy for states is still there. The legislative autonomy for the legislators, some of them have, some of them don't. The local
government autonomy. That's a big one.
Very, very big. So,
but what I keep asking myself, isn't there any way of making these states respect that level of government? Making the state governors so that they don't have the local government chairman in their pockets like most of them do. Just give them money to pay salaries and that's it.
Constitutionally, no. But operationally. Constitutionally, why? Because the State House of Assembly has supervisory authority, according to the Constitution, over the local governments. The governor, maybe not directly, but then there is the state and local government joint account. who governs that.
The governor. The governor
So I think that's
has
what.
the pin to that account.
So indeed, I agree. On that one, and I think the governors should actually come out and talk about that one as well. But then there is also that talk about transforming the livestock value chain. That's not also new, because in the north, the northern governors, 19 northern governors, also gathered and said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Open grazing is no longer fashionable. Open grazing is outdated. That's only speaking to one thing: transform the sector. The National Livestock Transformation Plan put the value of the livestock value chain into trillions. I think the vice president or the AFDB was said to have valued Nigeria's livestock, value chain in the region of 30 trillion naira.
Wow.
So
that is huge.
So imagine that we are able to transform
to structure it properly.
I'm telling you.
I mean, the value could even increase.
Most certainly.
Yeah. So what's all the hula baloo about?
Your bags that come from Italy, could actually come from Kano.
Well, I'll have you know that we had a Nigerian bag maker on this program before who actually told us that the leather that all those big designers use actually comes from Nigeria.
That's my point.
They cure them, and then the ones that they don't use comes back here, and that's what they buy to make the real Nigerian leather bags that you can get.
So imagine.
Which is shameful.
Very.
Why can't we cure our own leather? The same thing for our wood. We export the logs and then they come back as expensive Italian furniture. Come on, give me a break. We make good furniture here.
I'll give you the break if you would, tell me why we can't.
There's no reason why we can't.
Oh, well, some will tell you there are reasons.
Where is the reason?
Infrastructure.
And maybe policy as well.
Maybe not so much about policy as about infrastructure. But there is the distance between the policy and the end product is operationalizing them. So
infrastructure, of course. Main among those is the power. And talking about power, oh dear, we had another. System collapse. We keep talking about this system collapse. And what crossed my mind this time was, why must we have a national power grid? Why can't we unbundle so that Lagos can generate its own and sell it? Or it can even, Alero can decide to go and have a power station in Apapa and just supply to that area, instead of having a national grid, so that when there's a system collapse, there's no power practically everywhere in Nigeria.
We have
and it's been happening a bit too often now.
We have that union of electricity workers. One of the things they always say, yes, one of the things they always say about the deregulation of the power sector is the process. And I think the process is still quite faulty. The TCN is the one that has the, that came up with the announcement. It's not the Gencos.
No.
It's not the Discos.
The Discos had nothing to supply you.
Absolutely. It's the Tranco. Now, so, so it's like saying you have goods in the warehouse that can serve the nation comfortably and conveniently. And then you have distributors waiting for the goods you have in the warehouse
to come to them,
to distribute to us. But then the people to take it from point A to point B, and the system collapse. I don't understand. I don't understand. I mean, you have privatized some, the Discos. You partly privatized the Gencos. You wholly own the TCN. And I'm wondering what exactly is playing out. Anyway, maybe I'm just speaking above my head, because we have been told over and over again that it's not just two half a dozen, or how do you put it now? 6 and half a dozen. It's not that simple. I agree. All I
Maybe
want,
we can't fully understand, but all we want is power.
switch on the light and it comes on.
And you have a cold drink when you get home from the hot outside. And you can watch your television and listen to the news and know what's happening in your country and in the world.
And more importantly, even try to, galvanize things that will help you to become a more productive person, a more productive citizen, so that you can pay taxes that government needs to do all that we need, so that people don't become victims of kidnapping.
Is this rocket science? I'm sure the powers that be know all that.
No, we will not know whether it's rocket science or not until we have ours.
I'm sure they know that too. I'm sure they know that.
Okay.
Right.
So I think, by the way, there's that, little issue of the young lady who was killed because she was looking for a job.
That is a very sad story, and it is the story of what our nation has become, unfortunately. Because shortly after that story broke, I read also on social media about a guy who was invited to make a presentation in the south somewhere. His airfare was paid, he was picked up from the airport and everything ostensibly by these people who own the company, who want to give him this job, only for it to turn out that they were kidnappers. They kidnapped him and asked him to call his family and ask for a ransom of 1 or 2 million. So we really need to be careful these days. I mean, the poor girl was just looking for a job,
There was that time in this country, in the state, Lagos State, where you had, when the coinage "one chance" was very, very prominent. Who knew that was going to get this bad? This friend of yours, and then so many that we have heard about are just like a fraction.
There are many others we never get to hear about.
We never hear about.
And these things are happening almost on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that's why one of the things we are talking about this morning is the state of the polity, to look at all of the issues that we have on our hands.
And after that, of course, we're going to look at the message of Eid. Don't forget that we had public holidays, even though some may not have appreciated what the holiday was about, because there was no ram.
People should just get it right. It's not every Eid that is a ram. A friend of mine put up a WhatsApp status and said, "I'm looking for where to get meat." I said, "This is not the ram.
This is not the ram festival."
So, less noise, more sense. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. We're essentially talking about noise pollution, but we'll find out more on that later on today.
And then we're talking about something called Project Safe. Hey, what's that again? Well, you need to stick around to find out what exactly that is all about.
And who is our artist of the week?
He's a big, one of Nigeria's most renowned saxophonists.
Well, you'll get more on that. Maybe she's trying to be a renowned saxophonist herself.
I don't play anything, thank you.
Oh, you do play something? Yes, you play the microphone. So we're...
There he goes. I warned you about my partner, didn't I? Yes, we shall be right back to start the program in earnest, but you can be a part of the program. Our Twitter... Welcome back. Now let's get the show on the road. And let me start by wishing you Baraka de Salah to start with. And that's maybe because I want to bribe you, because my first question is coming to you.
That's wonderful.
Yes, in the course of this week, last...
Yes, we're still in the same week.
Yes. 17 governors gathered and came to an agreement, what is now referred to as the Asaba Accord. And they came out with a 10-point agenda. Now, what are your thoughts about that meeting and the outcome thereof?
Well, to start with, I think there's a strict language called the town is not smiling. You run. Which means things are extremely, very, very bad, worrisome, and of course, everywhere we are all on edge. And the significance of the meeting of these southern governments is, to me, to give you relief. I mean, it's soothing power. So let's wait a while. We are still on call. Let us see what we can do. But beyond that, all those the outcomes to me should have been done, will have seen been manifested most in their states. Look,
So
for
you are
example,
aligning with what the Senate President said.
no,
Restructure your
reality.
states
For me,
first.
as a journalist, I look at it from the bigger prison. It's not different from what we have been reporting every now and then. Open grazing is what we have been reporting on, isn't it? Autonomy of the government, we have been taking. But the reality is that in their states, were they ready for autonomy of local government? Are they ready for autonomy of the judiciary? These are critical issues. So there's no point for me playing to the gallery. But I said there is a soothing bar because at that point, we just need something refreshing to keep everybody down. Because then, don't worry, there's still hope in this country. And that's what I believe, there's still hope in this country. If we're sensible enough to take the right route. Ekiti has done, coming up with something, to show that yes, that open grazing is real. But we have heard about fashionable farm in those in Western Nigeria. So what happened to your state government from taking that gullet, reviving that fashionable farm, where we have real ranching? So what is stopping him from doing that? So if your colleague Nikiti has done that, so what about other governments? Are they also going to do that? So they've now I think they've given themselves a marching order of what they're really going to do. And let us see how they're going to do it from their own states first, before it resonates into the national level.
Well,
And so that's why quite a lot of people will take them extremely serious. But
And wait to see.
I mean, obviously, they've done a nice thing, coming together for the first time. And then
but
the
there are those who also say that that's not the first time they are coming together. Only they don't do it as frequently as the northern governors. However, let me come to you, Mr. Nwoko. The open grazing was one of the things they talked about. It's not the only thing they talked about. They talked about restructuring. They talked about, which of course has been generating a lot of interest from other people as well. But the open grazing thing, actually started with the northern governors themselves saying, come on, it's outdated. It's out of fashion. It's no longer sustainable, But the question then is, if we all agree that open grazing has been an issue, all 36 governors agree that it has been an issue, should we still be talking about it as opposed to doing something about it?
That's a leadership gap. Let me just chip this in, that I think that the meeting in the first place was laudable. It was a bold step in the right direction, though belated. What was lacking in all the 36 state governors agreeing was what I said to somebody yesterday: lack of the ingredients of discussion, lack of the major two ingredients that you find from those who, the protagonists of democracy that we copy. We copied our democracy. Where we copied from, we left something behind. Those two things I talked about yesterday somewhere is negotiation and compromise. In any organization, in any relationship, in any setup, where you do not have people understand the relevance of negotiation and compromise, it never works. So what is lacking when 36 people agree and all that? It's just leadership. Leadership that we say, okay, if we agree, how do we execute it? You have to give it. You have to give. If I have a relationship with an tailor, I must give, she must give for that relationship to be able to sustain that relationship. We have a relationship that is organized within 36 states. This nation is well endowed. Each state has stuff to bring to the table. So I have always said that I don't care who is the president of this country. I don't care who is the governor of my state. What I care about is that this governor or this president who aspire to provide leadership cannot emulate things that are going on elsewhere and bring it to the table. If he cannot provide for me, or rather, if he can provide for me, why do I need to agitate? The issue of insecurity, think about it. Because here a lot of times I watch your program and other programs. Those who crafted our current 1999 constitution are being castigated. But inside that constitution, you have a provision where governors are endowed with millions of naira for security. Am I right? If they had the wisdom to know that many years ago that there was issue of insecurity, and financial provision have to be made for you, it behoves on you to now always find out what the security situation is in your state and use that money to provide solution. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if a state like Ondo State or Lagos State or your state, Delta State, River State, the governors receive allocation for security votes, have they at any time in the past or going forward contracted people to do a report on the situation of insecurity in their state? If they have, can we locate those reports and find out what is contained in those reports? You can find, at least in these states that I mentioned and more states, you can find such reports on the internet. One of the things you will find in those reports, before you even do, I can tell you what you can find inside those reports, is the fact that the cost of insecurity in our country, in our different states, is basically instigated by elites, politicians, and headsmen. So it's high time that these governors who agree that open grazing is outdated, that is no longer fashionable, for them to provide the necessary leadership by providing an alternative, by copying what is going on outside, by allowing us to have peace, by restraining themselves from some of the things that they say. Because the cause of the problem we have in this country is not because me and you or any Hausa man or any Igbo man or Yoruba man is fighting. It's because of the things that we're saying. This present government, before they were seeking power so much that if you listen to what Lai Mohammed, as the head of the information for APC, was saying, and the things they are still saying, they constantly on a daily basis setting the country on fire. By what? By what they say. By the things that they are saying, nothing is going on. Nobody is fighting, there's no war, but constantly they are warring and voicing and saying things that should never be said in a place where you want to make progress. This president, our current president, go back in time and check all the things that he was saying against the former government. Now, I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm just saying that all of us are guilty, that we need to restrain ourselves.
But there are some things that, going back to the documents that you mentioned, perhaps one would also decrypt the fact that if you even do a simple Google search right now, right this moment, and I've said this a few times, a simple Google search, causes of insecurity in Nigeria.
You will see it.
One of the top 3 you will find is unemployment. One of the top 3 you will find
it's
is
still the same thing that I said to you. If they give you money every month or yearly, I don't know when the frequency of this money or the currency of this money they give to you, right? I just mentioned 2 that I'm not a security expert, but from on top of my head, this unemployment, is it not the same elites that are causing it? You go to a place, you take people's land. You go to a place, you recruit people to work for you. When I say elites, that they are the cause of the problem, am I saying that they are the ones in the street? No. They are recruiting these guys that are causing this problem. Because you need to understand that this unemployment that you mentioned is not just the youths that are unemployed. These politicians who have served before, they are no longer in the corridors of power. They are unemployed. And they are too lazy to work because Nigeria's money is very sweet. Maybe you don't know. You are actually laughing. Maybe I should join you.
It's funny when you see politicians who were
now, if you were a former House of Assembly member in 1999, or like my relation Ned Nwoko, who used to be in the House of Representatives, he just served one term. Now all of you call him honorable. What does he do for a living?
See,
so the point here, on this unemployment, you need to understand, it's not that there are youths that are unemployed. The people who are unemployed, who are causing this problem, are those at every time. When they are not in the corridors of power, they are not governors, they are not president, they are not governors, they are not ministers, they are not in the House of Representatives. Have you asked yourself what they do? Have you ever sat down to analyze it? You don't need a television to analyze. Just sit down in your house and analyze. What is their job? Have they been able to go back to their former profession? The answer is no, because it's not as rewarding as where they were before. The political positions where they... Because Nigeria's money is very sweet when you get it for free. When it's allocated to you. When money is paid into your account for not doing anything. Why do you want to go and work?
Kazim, let's quickly look at one of the issues that he raised about the governors.
Yes.
The governors have also screamed that their hands are tied, that they're chief security officers only in name, because they have no control over the security apparatus on ground in their various states.
Well, obviously, that's just another excuse. In leadership, there are two things that you need. You need truth and you need efficiency. Truth is that the reality on ground is telling you that this is what you need to do. So how well are you going to do it for the benefit of the people? That's the area of efficiency. Lagos has a master plan, for example. And over the years, that's why you see the tangential progress in Lagos. You can't compare it with other parts of the country. Because there's a focus of where we are going. And then the recruitment leadership, people could question it. But it has also produced somebody that you can say can follow that blueprint. Now you have before your 5-year plan, agricultural plan, right? You also have so many other spaces that have been opened for the economy, right? And these have been coming over the years. Even since 1999, you have had all these things coming, back and forth. They are almost getting it right, and you can see an element of efficiency. I didn't say all. You can see it. It's visible. But how do you now concretize on this? That is the issue. So Lagos will remain a center of attraction for everyone. So in terms of employment, it's something we don't want to be employed. There are so many things you can do in Lagos because the environments have been created for everyone to excel. Does this happen in other parts of the country? That is the big question we need to ask ourselves. So
I'm sorry,
Yes.
Dr. Akrezi, to button, but while that is a given,
Yes.
so if we are saying that it is possible for the states
Yes.
at their various levels to galvanize employment opportunities, at least create the enabling environment for employment to be created by micro, small, and medium enterprises, do we need the federal government to get the states to do the same thing? Because you would recall that, it's all over the place. Yeah. Just how many weeks ago we were hearing that in Yobe State, the terrorists, insurgents were recruiting the young people for just 20,000 naira apiece. So, and this is what happened even while at the time the Chibok girls were abducted. The same way of enticing people, we are luring people with money to recruit them into all these acts that we see. So, do the states need the federal government to galvanize employment in their states?
You don't need it. That's what I've tried to give an example of Lagos State, for example, because this is what I've lived in for a while, and I have an opportunity of also working with the leadership. And in all parts of this country, people desire what they want, the type of employment you want. You want to say, okay, I want to be a banker. Nobody who have chosen in this country said, want to be a farmer, right? Mm-hmm. And it's extremely lucrative. And being a farmer, 20,000 naira does not mean anything to you. Because once the harvest comes, when the bumper comes, you are going to smile to the bank. But the reality of how to get there is another entirely, because we are not promoting, we are not making it quite enticing to the younger ones. And that is where we have the problem. And the value chain of agriculture is enormous to create employment.
That is the question that I want to...
People don't want to go there.
That's the question that I want to piggyback on.
Yes.
Earlier, I think before we came on air, maybe while we were on air, Alera was talking about the fact that there are things in this country that we produce, but rather than, expand the effects, create a large production line for them, we export the raw materials.
Yes.
And we buy back at very exorbitant prices the byproducts, so to speak. We export cocoa for chocolate. We export wood for furniture. We export leather. She was just telling me that leather bags that our people buy from Italy and all of that the leather used are taken from Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So Do we need the federal government to facilitate the enabling environment for that?
Let each state governor put his thinking cap on how to solve the problem that is immediate to him. It's as simple as that. So you do not just generalize the problems. And that's why I'm trying to do the analysis. If you take about insecurity, for example, Lagos come with an idea of neighborhood watch. And it has been able to contain insecurity within the neighborhood. And so why do you now want Lagos to come and join you on with Amateku?
How much?
I mean, so do you still need that? When you have a system, then obviously they can see that it's working. And what do they do for that neighborhood? They even provide bicycles for them. That makes them it's unique to that environment. So that if you also want to tap something happening in that neighborhood, you don't need to take a 4-wheel car there or a jeep there or with a bicycle. You raise in there and you are equipped with all the gadgets. Then you can contact, RRS or other people. They can then come around and solve the problem. So that is one aspect of it. When I say drive efficiency, you can see if you create an avenue for people to see reality of life, they can now move around and say, yes, let us see what we are going to build on. But in as much as we are getting cheap money, every month, either either it is, or you're going to get money. But in 1 month, where you can't get that, and you have to think outside the box how you're going to get that money to pay your salaries, there's something that tells you that, no, the days of free money is gone and gone forever. For example, another example, how does Lagos State survive without local government money during 1999, during Obasanjo years? It takes somebody who is quite efficient, who is also thinking to see how to solve that problem at that time. So why can't people borrow from that? It's a good initiative, but that initiative, so you're also criticizing that it's not the best. But at that time, that is what works for that particular that government, and was able to, live up to the expectation of the people at the right time. For all of us, if we want to get it right.
But Kwasim,
yes,
you have spoken about the neighborhood watch. How successful has this been? Because in the last 2 to 3 weeks, there have been plenty of at least radio programs, television programs about traffic robbery in Lagos. So how successful do you think this neighborhood watch has been?
Maybe we should allow him to take that response
after this break.
This break.
Yes.
Joining us. So you wanted to answer that question about Lagos.
Yeah, I said Lagos. Yeah, it was probably that is neighborhood watch.
Is it working? Yes.
Because of robbery and all that. In a mega city, you cannot rule that one out. No, let's be fair. But the reality is that these neighborhood watch people, do you keep them solely towards the night? No, you don't. Go and watch it very well. By 6, they'll fade away. You won't see them again. Or maybe by 4. See, they're also working as a civil servant. No. So Lagos will have to redefine their role. That look, you guys, you are going to work 24 hours henceforth, and this is what we are going to do for you, to ensure that you keep, our city safe.
Okay.
So as to complement the existing in order like the police. That's exactly how it's going to work.
Okay,
and I'm sure they know where the hot spots are.
Absolutely, they do. That's what they are looking at. That's what they're local, what do you call them? Security agencies.
Let me ask you, Mr. Nwoko. There's a question here by Isiaka. Says, the big question we should attend to is the armed bandits. How did they get their arms and ammunition?
Tell Mr. Isiaka that there are merchants, conflict merchants everywhere.
Say that again.
There are conflict merchants everywhere. So these sellers who want to sell are looking out for a country like Nigeria. It's a very interesting question that he asked, and I think we better deal with it comprehensively. Now, you need to understand the rules of weapon business. Do you understand? And you also need to understand the role that war plays in their mind and all that. And those who claim to be journalists or politicians and all that, it's very important. It's not just bandits. The stock and local stock business, stock market. Do you understand? How cheap is it? How cheap is South Korea stock prices? And the role that everybody is playing, our journalists, what role are they playing? Who is giving them? If you pick up a newspaper or you're watching television and you're reading a business reports, it's a very, very important question. So, within the country, they're looking at for conflict merchants, entrepreneurs whose business is to cause conflict and speak all these things that they're speaking.
Wow.
Now, these traders who sell and who manufacture these things are looking out for such people. So, you hear the custom tell you, oh, we just discovered the importation of, come on, people are behind these businesses. You know, so, but why Nigeria? Why Congo? Why Mali and all that? And you look at these countries in Africa where these things are going on. They are the countries that are endowed with abundant natural resources. It's the interest and the attraction to foreigners. And the only way they can get access to these things is to destabilize our country. Unfortunately, they will always find our local noisemakers, troublemakers, political troublemakers, entrepreneurs who specialize in conflicts and all that. So that's why you hear some of all these. Somebody will just get up, and a non-native will just get up and is declaring a republic within the country and all that. He knows what he's doing. And there are people who are watching.
I'm hearing
the arms
term
will continue to come in as far as you have unpatriotic individuals who do not see the things that hold us together. Do you understand? If I have a relationship with Auntie Alera, there will always be conflict. Is that why somebody should be inviting an outsider? We had so many here. There are conflicts everywhere. But the unique thing about Africa is that if you go to Sudan, you go to Chad, you come to Nigeria, the natural resources continues to be an attraction. Our wood, our cassava, our maize, our oil, our gas.
I'm hearing this term for the first time, I gotta be honest.
Which term is that?
Conflict merchants.
Or call them entrepreneurs.
Well, you may need to expatiate a little on that because, okay, I think it was in the course of this week that we heard that video making the rounds of a Nigerian in Nigeria who said he must have sold nothing less than 450, arms and ammunition in the country, and is selling them for some figures that he makes very, very paltry slice of profit on. So these conflicts merchants, are they unknown to our intelligence community?
I don't know about that. But for instance, I know at least one in my life. There's what we call quotidian activity. That means that every morning you get up, you must be involved in one economic activity or not. I think that I've sent message to my friends who are close to seat of government. I've written articles. I've posted so many things on social media. One way of identifying these people is watch what they do. What work do? You live in this big house. What is your contribution in the community where you live? Is it conflict? It's very easy. That is why the neighborhood watch. Well, that's why the kind of policing that we had in Lagos, I guess we still have it, where you have a neighborhood policing and all that.
That's what he is talking about, the neighborhood watch.
Well, that's neighborhood watch. But the kind of policing that we have is that I have enjoyed in the last 20, 25, 30 years, that I can go to the shopping mall and I see a police officer and I'm calling in Kisley, what are you doing here? He's got you, just greet me and pass. And I know why he's there. He's just there to make sure that there is orderliness and there is peace. That's kind of policing that I'm used to in Lagos. To buttress the point that he was making, not long ago, where I live, in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., there was commotion around the place. I didn't know what it was. I just picked up my phone. I made a phone call to Rapid. I didn't even know the phone call. I made a 112 phone call or whatever. Yeah. And he told me they will get back to you. Somebody, rapid response or somebody will get. And they did. They didn't get back to me, but they went to deal with the situation. 2 days later, they came to that place to pick up all the guys who were involved in that commotion. But you know what? The surveillance was powerful because it took 2 days. And they just came and mixed up with the people and all that. That's what I'm used to. But I don't think that our federal government have paid more attention to our political elites, who are the major instigators.
So how does that make you feel? Because we've heard this over and over again, as high level as governors saying that they know the perpetrators of all these things.
It makes me feel saddened. You and I, we are not safe. Get to understand that. Because if what happened in Aso Rock, if it's true, it's just a pointer. But you see, it is what you sow that you will reap. It's a natural law. Like I said to you before, all these things that are happening now, this government in power, all of them, all the things they said before is coming back, and other people are saying it to them. They are now quiet. That is number one. Number two, the kind of leadership that we have here is something that can make you cry. I give you an example. Not long ago here, we had 9/11. After that incident, other nations have learned. Do you know that Condoleezza Rice, who was a powerful woman at that time, politically speaking, even wrote a book on international security? All you need to do is just buy one of those books and read it, or go to the internet and read that book. There are so many materials. How did South Africa manage? They had issues with insecurity at the epic between when they got in, when the ANC came to power, and a few years down the line. They've been able to deal with it to a certain level. Look, here, people are just paying attention to themselves. Do you know how long it's taking the Southern governors to meet? I can't remember the last time they met. This for me, like I said, is a laudable step in the right direction. It's bold enough for me and all that. But what next? Because the information you need to protect your people, apart from Wike, who have had opportunity of, I don't really like his, you know, he's not my friend. I'm not. But when it comes to adding a strong voice to a matter, you know that he has done so. That's what the people need at local level. Protecting us from people like Ned Nwoko, we have not enjoyed that.
God.
Look, if Chukwu Ifejoku is in prison, he went to court, they had a court process. They left the court, he was picked up. As I'm talking to you, he's in detention in Asaba. Police station. His wife and his children, they are crying. I went to Asaba, by the way, I came back from Asaba on Friday. I went to see him. I couldn't even see him because the wife advised me against it. So what I'm saying is that the leadership that you need should be able to learn. If you get out over the ignorance or the laziness of finding out what is going on in other spheres and doing it here, will be safer.
Okay, cousin. Festus Akimboyewa says, how can states create, this is referring to your comment earlier, how can states create jobs if they're not controlling their resources? I know that if my state, Ondo State, is allowed to mine our bitumen, nobody will be jobless.
Is there only bitumen that we have as natural resources in Ondo? Cocoa is there.
Okay,
Farming
same with
there.
every. I mean, okay. I think he just used Ondo as an example.
That's why it does not.
Every state has something, but they're not allowed to control what they have.
No, because that is one of the challenges of our constitution, ordinarily. But there are some issues under exclusive lists. There are some other concurrent lists that you can do together. People always use one as an example and say bitumen is what can make the whole of Ondo State. That's not true. There are other areas in which you can also tap into, and you showcase that people will see that, yeah, sure, this is what you can do. Much more better than what is, everybody I know claim to be the star, resources. It's very important we get that one right. Now, a very good example in Lagos, all the Southwest governors. Southwest, what is stopping them from negotiating the rail line that cut across Lagos probably to Oshogbo or, let's say to Ikirun, that you are going to transport people? That's exactly what they are talking about, of the devolution of powers. In the UK, what they have done is to divest those key aspects of the economy. So, Odua Group is there. They have a foresight there. Our leaders, they form Odua Group of companies. So we need to ask questions. What are the areas of economic interest that Odua Group has gone into? The Southwest goes to ask questions. How do we empower Odua Group to create jobs all across? Those are the issues. They are into real estate. They are also into so many other things, agriculture and the rest. Hotels. So what has happened to all that? To me, that should be their concern. If they can show example of how to galvanize economic activity towards that end, everybody will be applauded. There is always a rat race in those days when we're in regions. Cocoa House, then you see North also looking at how do I have NDDC, what do you call it, property. In East, how do I also compete with the West and the North? But now everybody seems to have mellowed that because there's cheap money.
In Abuja.
in Abuja.
But there's something.
Yeah, but
Just one
I beg your
second.
pardon. Kazim,
Yes.
but we have been told that purse in Abuja is going to dry up very soon.
Absolutely.
So do you see any effort by these governors to prepare themselves for that day so that they're able to stand on their own 2 feet?
You know, the reality will be done on everyone, isn't it? Either you prepare, you do not prepare. The reality will be done on you. So, but the best for you is to get well prepared for the realities on ground. That's why we paid an example of what we have in the Southwest that can make us together. So if they can exploit that, that will be fine. But if they are still also waiting to collect money at the end of the month in Abuja and then add it to the little IGR that they have, and once they can pay salaries and do 1 or 2 rules, they think that is the end of the show. That isn't. That is why our role as journalists is to interrogate, is to make them accountable for all those things. So we should be asking questions. What happened to cocoa industry in the Oligi? I mean, we should be interested. So the cocoa house, or the hotels, I mean, what do you call it? All these hotels that under Odua, what is it? What is the turnout? So you governors give us the status. You want to know. So are we projects that you also want to engage in? What are we getting from that? Why are we not asking questions? See, that Fashola Farm should come back. We should be asking your state governor.
Fashola Farms is one.
Yes.
In the course of the week,
Yes.
we had conversation with the Ondo State governor.
Yes.
Festus Akinberi was governor, by the way, who says, when I put this question of, what happened to Fashola Farms and so many other farms, because in the north, in the, early years of Nigeria's, nationhood, something in the region of 410 ranches were there in the north. All of them, what happened to them? How come we now began to have this? So when I put that question to the governor of Ondo State, his response was they were abandoned. So
why don't you revive it?
What do we need to do to get back into that? Because if you look at as far back as October last year, the Minister of Agriculture said Nigeria's livestock industry is worth 30 trillion naira. What do we need to do?
What you need to do is that you need your oil to dry up first.
Teach you a lesson?
Your adversity. You need. Shabi, we are complaining now. I wanted to tell you.
Jesus.
I wanted to.
Can you be nice?
No, but I'm being nice. I'm telling you the truth. Oh, you don't like truth? We all like that. But the adversity you face has the greatest potential of bringing you to a place of reality. That's the truth of life. This oil needs to dry up so you can stop with this budgeting process that you do this annual ritual of budgeting every year. But the question really is that every time you talk to a Nigerian, government creates job, government creates job. Which government creates job anywhere? In the world that we live into, on daily basis, as we sit down here, information and knowledge is being released into our world. It's only people in developed countries that are constantly receiving some of this information and putting into books. Meanwhile, we don't read them. Let me tell you what's going on as we speak here. And it's been going on for a while. You used one of the words while you were asking me a question before. It has to do with creativity. You talked about create. You used the word create. In an economy that must survive, you have to create. The next thing that is going on all over the world is not something that is hidden. It's innovation. By the way, I traveled along to Delta. Along the road, I saw a massive edifice where they wrote innovation and something. It's innovation. There are cities and countries in this world today. They are doing very well based on creativity, innovation, enterprise, hospitality, tourism, if you will. That is what is sustaining them.
Singapore has nothing.
That is what is sustaining. So Nigeria here, a youth will tell you, no job. And I ask, go to Kari, all those things you are buying there, they are created somewhere in China. Can't you create something here? You are talking about leather. We just can create. Unfortunately, you have leadership that is collecting money because they are budgeting and sharing FAC. So they are not into creating. You can create. I see some of my neighbors now, young people, they are creating shoes now and all that. And that is what government was supposed to have done. By bringing the machines in numbers so they can go and grind, bring machines that can make buttonholes. I saw a young man who makes very nice clothes. He made a jacket for me.
What happened to our textile industries?
Your oil killed it because the ranches that were abandoned in 1973, before 1973 boom, oil was selling for $2. But the dodgy era just happened shortly after oil went from $2 to 11. You've forgotten the war that happened that led to Saudi Arabia discovering oil and oil price going up. Go back and check it out. It was the major, because me and you lived here before the advent of oil. You've forgotten. We farmed, we groundnuts in the north,
Cocoa.
fishing in south and all that, cocoa in the whatever.
Tin and
These things
coal
have been about. So
in the
your
east.
adversity must bring you to a present or a future reality. Except you listen to what I'm saying to you, that if you go to our country, look, how did China come back? In 1930, they were suffering, they were sleeping in the street corners. You've forgotten. They woke up one day and said, you know what we need to do? Everybody go back into your room and start creating something. That's how we have a Christmas tree, Christmas light, everybody, bicycle spoke and all that. They said they're creating small things. Today, after how many years? They've emerged, after 70 years, they have emerged a great economic power. Our youths are not listening, and I don't blame them, because the leadership is not showing a good enough example.
Well, I think that's a good place to anchor it for today. But this is an ongoing conversation. You can never finish talking about the state of the polity. But I'd like to just say thank you very much to Dr. Kwazim Akinreti, former chairman of NUJ and Deputy Director, Digital Media, Voice of Nigeria, as well as Mr. Chuk Nwoko, Public Affairs Commentator. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to share your insights with us on this topic and giving us a very animated and interesting discussion. So Sunrise will be back with another interesting conversation in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Well, thanks for staying with us. It was a holiday on Wednesday and Thursday, and states, one or two states that I reckon, extended it to Friday. And yesterday, some major parks were full. It was the Eid celebration. And it came after the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Muslim faithful all over the world took time to pray and make merriment after the fast ended. So today, let's take a look at that message again, as we do once every year, especially at this time when insecurity is an increasingly aggravating issue. Joining us this morning is Barrister Alatoye Folorunsho Aziz, who is Amir and National, Aziz Amir, National Head, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope I got that right, by the way.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
You know, we fast every year.
Alhamdulillah.
And it's a major pillar
That's right.
in Islam.
That's right.
It definitely isn't just supposed to be an activity. It is supposed to be a means to an end.
That's right.
What is supposed to be the end, the product of that exercise?
Thanks very much for that question. And from the beginning to the end, I will emphasize the importance of fasting to be godliness and righteousness. And those are the two key words that we need to pick up. And if we are able to work with those two, it's going to be very helpful to us. The verse where Almighty Allah revealed Ramadan in the Holy Quran, which is chapter 2, verse 184, it ended up with the word لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that you might be God-fearing. And that is where I picked the word godliness from. And that you might be righteous. The root of all evils, without exclusion, is ungodliness. If you go to the advanced environment, we are saying they are not religious. There is a difference between religion and being godly. Godly is about taking care of the creations of God. So they have what we call divinity. You have, fear of certain deity, somebody, whoever that person is. In Islam, it is Allah. So the essence of Ramadan is to make all Muslims to fear Allah. And when you fear Allah, what does that do? Righteousness. And what is righteousness? Is goodness. Goodness means that you are doing things as if God is seeing you. And there are two parts to it. Avoidance of all evils. Doing of all goods. That's all.
It sounds very elementary, very nursery school, if I can
Very,
use that.
very,
Yeah.
very,
But
very.
it's perhaps the way it looks, with all of the activities that we see all around. It would seem like it's not as simple to do as it is to hear or to read. Why do you think that is?
It is because, with time, people try to drill away from the roots, from the fundamentals. And once the fundamental is wrong, then every other thing will be getting wrong on it. I listened to all your programs, including the one this morning. If you look at all the evils we talk about, do you think a godly person will do anything that anyone is doing wrongly? The answer will be no. And that is what Ramadan has come to teach us.
Okay.
Or is supposed to teach us? Because my
It
apologies.
does. It's only whether we will accept or not. It does. Every year. 1 month training, 11-month implementation. Another 1 month training, 11 months of demonstration. And that is what God is going to ask us. You are trained. How have you used it? So those who will go aim for paradise are going to aim that I will do good with what I have trained. Those who are not aiming for paradise or the pleasure of Allah will then do evil. And there will be no excuse.
How much are we as Nigerians following this which you have spoken, seeing as I think there are more Muslims than there are Christians in Nigeria, in light of all that we see happening in our country today?
It is very disappointing that Muslims, unfortunately, are not implementing the tenets of Islam, especially this fasting. I repeated it during these 30 days, that if only Muslims in Nigeria demonstrate the act of godliness, goodness, this country will be a place of peace for us to run. For instance, I honestly believe about 90% of all these of Boko Haram activities, banditry activities, herdsmen activities, if I'm not mistaken, if we have Christians there at all, I doubt whether they will be up to 10%. So if we remove that 90% and they behave in a godly way, they will absorb the rest 10%. Then ordinarily we are not supposed to have any crisis. So if only Muslims behave as Muslims, and I start from top to the last person, I don't mean only the populace, no, including the leaders. A godly person will not be discriminating between Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, all this noise. No. Tribalism will never come the way of a person unless a tribe is being persecuted. Where God asked Moses to take them out, you go and rescue them. But if they are not persecuted, how does tribalism come into play?
But then there perhaps it sounds to me like there is a role for religious leaders in this, because
There is.
yeah, to a large extent, I mean, you would remember, for instance, the Metatsine riots.
That's
you
right.
know, of I think it was the 80s,
That's
and
right.
people were saying that started as a result of some religious leader at the time, and there are those who are still pointing to one religious leader's influence or the other in some of the melee that we're having right now. Is there a place where religious leaders sit together to adjudicate, so to speak, over such things and guide each other about what to dispense to the populace?
Let me be very very clear. I agree with you. Religious leaders have roles, but religious leaders may not be able to control religious miscreants. These religious miscreants start as political thugs because they have group, and you use them either for election or something, and after that they don't have jobs
You
to
dump
do,
them.
but they still have those guns with them and all those kind of things. So if you then persecute one of them, you say, now I am this religious, group, you are persecuting that religion. So he only wants to use religion. Religion has absolutely nothing to do with it. It has nothing. The 5 pillars of Islam are very clear. And the first one of the pillar is godliness. And believe in the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the act of doing good. The second one is prayer to Almighty Allah. The third one is sacrifice, which is zakat, which you pay for goodness of humanity. The fourth one is this fasting. And the last one is all your journey should be in the way of Allah, capped with Hajj. So which one are they fighting for? They are fighting for only 3 things. And none of these is a pillar of Islam. They are fighting for power. If they can kill some emir, kill some people, take over their town, so they are in power. And you use power to gather resources. That is the second thing they are fighting for. And the third one is land. So they can carve an area to themselves. So, apart from that, what are they fighting for? And which one is a pillar of Islam? Which one is a pillar of Christianity? Which one is a pillar of anything? These are the things the terrorists are fighting for. And all ends up with money.
Where did we get it wrong? I mean, when I was growing up, I went to a Catholic school. And there were Muslims in that school.
Yes.
They were not forced to leave their religion and become Catholics because they were in a Catholic school.
Absolutely.
It didn't matter.
Absolutely.
And it didn't matter whether they were Igbo, Hausa, Shekiri. And like I always have said, I come from a minority in Nigeria. So if I am waiting to have Shekiri friends, then I'm going to be friendless all my life.
That's right.
So where did we get it wrong that the matter of I am Catholic, you are Muslim, you are Methodist, became so important in the scheme of things? It wasn't like that before.
Yeah, thanks very much, Madam. It wasn't, it was gradual. You see, when evil is very small, and we don't reject that evil when it is small, it is going to become so big. When somebody tells you a very small lie, and you don't hit him as a child or a person, and you don't hit him on telling that lie, he will tell a bigger lie. He will tell a bigger lie.
One.
Then he will tell a bigger lie that will cover him to the extent that when you then ask him, sorry, how true is this? He will say, I'm so sorry, I'm even confused.
Because there have been too many lies.
Too many lies. And it started with very small. I agree with you, in this country, when we grew up, it's all peace. I attended Christian primary school. Nobody, forces you to do. As we have it right now, Ahmadiyya colleges all over. You have, I think during this Ramadan, you will have listened to one of the sermons where it says Ahmadiyya has a bus for Christians to take them to church over the weekend and bring them back to their hostel. Nobody forces anybody. As I speak to you right now, in our Ahmadiyya hospital, you have about 95% of non-Ahmadis there that are not Ahmadis. The population of people who are working there, we are humanity. We are human beings before you are either Ahmadi or you are Salafi or you are Christian or you don't even do anything. We have the right to survive, the right to exist. So this was the value before. We keep on drizzling away from humanity value. That is where we got it wrong. Because you had asked question. How? And it is when people are doing little evil and we think this is too small. Just let's leave that to go. Let's leave that to go. And they now consume everybody to the extent, in this country, we keep on attacking corruption. But corruption is down the ladder. Number 5, if you are counting, on the level. The first one is ungodliness. Anybody who will be corrupt must be an ungodly person. You cannot be stealing without being an ungodly person. No. Because if you believe God takes care of you, sorry, why will you steal? وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ. Anybody who want to have a trust, have your trust in Allah. We'll take care of your feeding, we'll take care of your housing, but you have to be hardworking, rely on that Allah, and that is it. Number two, the person must be a liar. Anybody who is not a liar cannot be corrupt because he will not tell the truth at any time.
Add to that the fact that the person can die quickly.
Yes, he can die quickly. and so great. So liars are the people who will be corrupt. Somebody came to the Holy Prophet in his lifetime and said, look, I know to be a Muslim, I shouldn't be committing, all these offenses, but I can't leave all the offenses. The Holy Prophet said, give me just only one. Be committing all the others. And he said, so which one do I give you? He said, lying. Just give me lying. And he said, lying? That's the smallest of all the offenses. I commit adultery, I commit theft, I commit, But the Prophet said, give me just only and go. The man left, he was going. So he said, okay, now he said I should not lie. So when I commit theft now, I must tell him the truth. But they will deal with me. If I go and sleep with somebody's
Lying
woman,
is the
they will
basis-
So
is
he
the
said,
basis.
no, I have to go back to the prophet. Prophet, it seems you've taken everything from me. So lying is stronger than corruption. Those who are corrupt is because they're not telling the truth. Oh, I have stolen local government money, state money, federal money, the police money. I've stolen it. He has to tell the truth. So it's greater than corruption. So you use lie to cover up the corruption. Number 4 is ignorance. Because they don't know you can dodge human being. But can you dodge God? Everything is recorded by, just like your film, the way you record things. God has recorded everything. So if you are not ignorant, you will be playing God.
I'm happy that there is that verse in the Quran, because I think there is something also like that in the Bible.
Yes.
To what Alera said the other time.
Yes.
In growing up, I remember we used to eat Sarah.
Yes.
There is always a big tray.
Yes.
And there is
For
that
everybody.
for everybody to eat. So
That's right.
communal living was as sentimental.
That's right.
It didn't matter where you came from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It didn't matter whose child you were.
Absolutely.
You were a child in that community. Everyone took care of you.
That's
But,
right.
Alaji, I may want to put you in a little bit of a difficult situation with this question that I want to ask.
Okay.
Nigeria is said to be a non-religious state, a secular state.
That's right.
But it seems that we seem to give religious colorations and sensitivities to a number of decisions. Would you also put that in the basket of ungodliness?
Absolutely. Yes, it is what I would call, with utmost respect, ignorance. Because it was ignorance I was trying to explain the other time. If somebody think he is religious and is defending one religion or the other, what should that be? It should be goodness. It should be goodness. For instance, in the Holy Quran, it says when you want to appoint somebody into a post, appoint somebody who is competent and is honest.
That's in the Quran.
Yes, it's there. It is in the Holy Quran.
You could have fooled us.
Yes, it is in the Holy Quran. Appoint somebody who is competent and who is honest. Is there. Now, if you ask me, who can you appoint as either a president or vice president going forward in 2023? I will close my eyes to tell you I have just only one candidate, and he's a Christian. He's not a Muslim because of his performance. It's his performance. He is a very honest individual, and he is also competent because he has doused tension in this country. He went to a region, he spoke to them, they used to blow things, fight. He spoke to them, they calmed down. So I will appoint him, and he's a Christian. He's not a Muslim.
It's very interesting. Alaji, just one.
But we're not going to ask you to name who that is.
Just one last one. I would have loved to ask you if all religious leaders who have certain religious leanings, whether they even visit their religious books at all. But let me not ask you that one. By way of a passing shot, what would be your recommendation to the Nigerian? Because the previous conversationists on the program also said that there is significant work for Nigerians themselves to do. So in terms of the lesson of Eid, which is goodness, or godliness, what should we be doing as individuals in selecting leaders and in carrying out our day-to-day activities?
My advice, as I said, will be that every Muslims, to start with the Muslims first, and I believe it's the same thing with the Christians, is to see ourselves as loving each other, because that is the peak of goodness. And we must not think of doing evil to the other person. That is what Ramadan has come to teach us. Because in the month of Ramadan, why it is training is that when you are fasting and somebody challenges you, want to fight you, you have to tell him, sorry, I'm fasting, I cannot fight. So you don't fight in the month of Ramadan. So you don't harm another person in the month of Ramadan. So people are waiting for Ramadan to go so that they can now go back to their atrocities.
Writing it down.
Yes. So, and I have admonished that in this country, please, don't let us go back to all those evils, and this country will be good.
Okay.
Let us love each other, which is what God wants us to do.
Alaji, I have
Amen to that.
Yes, I have to thank you
Amen.
very, very much for being a part of our conversation this morning and for shedding
you.
this light. I didn't know that there are such provisions in the Quran.
They are.
Well,
Plenty.
Barrister Alatoye Folorunsho Aziz Mir is the national head Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat of Nigeria. Once again, thank you very much for your time.
Right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Aliru.
So Sunrise continues in a moment. Do stay with us.
Back.
Well, in case you don't know.
Oh, we're on
Yeah.
air.
What's
Sorry.
good for the back?
Sitting up straight.
Okay, like this?
Yes.
Not like,
Don't slouch.
just asking.
You'll feel it when you get to my age. It'll hurt you.
Okay.
But we're talking about noise today, not about our backs.
Okay.
Noise is a form of pollution, and not many people know this. And you will guess that when you walk around the streets of Lagos, honks are blaring
Please
away.
be specific. What areas? Who should?
Well, in fact, I should say
Ijuelegba.
walk around anywhere in Nigeria, because noise is part of us in this country.
Sabongeri.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Asaba.
I mean, some Danfo drivers actually play music on their horns, as they go along. And they don't know that is noise pollution. Then those who sell CDs and all that, they have their loudspeakers.
No, if you want to know some songs that you don't need to buy, just walk by the bus stops. Back then, I don't know what's happening now.
I was just going to say back then, not in the new
Oh, it's
Noiseless
improved.
Lagos campaign. Yes.
Thank you, Jesus. The Lagos state government is trying to create awareness about the dangers of noise pollution, and that is why we have the General Manager, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for coming. And we also have Kemi Remidairo, who is the founder, Kemi Remidairo Hearing Foundation.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's got a lot to do with hearing, hasn't it? We don't realize that noise can actually make us deaf. But we'll be coming to you to explain all that to us in just a moment. Now, Madam GM,
Yes, ma'am.
what is noise pollution? Let's start from there. That's pretty basic. Let's
sounds
start
like-
from the bottom.
That's like a question from social studies.
To make it basic,
Yeah.
and for everyone watching, all ages, and no matter your level of education, sound is different from noise. Sound is what we're making here.
Okay.
Noise is when sound persistently becomes irritable, too loud, annoying, uncomfortable, unbearable. It is away from the norm. Even children, newborn babies, to 1 week old, they know noise. They jerk at noise.
But they make noise.
No, that one, we expect it, so we're used to it. It's not unbearable because we know we are planned and we know it's for a period of time. Babies don't cry till they are 7 years old. Although I have had a couple complain about the neighbor's baby as noise pollution. And my advice to the couple, when I looked through the law and I couldn't figure it out, was, I'm sorry, this baby will only be a baby for a period of time. Get earplugs.
For
or
now.
Move your room. We have to be practical.
No, you said babies don't cry till they're 7.
I was confused.
Yes. So all
7
that,
years old.
yes, 7 years old. So all that one that they do before that, what is it called?
It's called crying, but it's not regarded as noise making.
Oh,
So it's
it
not-
becomes noise when they're
It's
after they're 7 years old.
No. I mean, noise is called noise when you're exposed to loud sound persistently, consistently, without a time limit.
Oh, okay. So the
So
child.
noise, a baby that cries 24 hours or 12 hours needs to be in the hospital. Something is wrong.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Okay, well, you haven't talked about joyful noise because of that. You make a joyful noise.
Joyful
Don't go
noise.
there yet. Don't go there yet.
It's
But
just a brief joyful noise.
Exactly, not consistent.
Consistently.
Okay.
Consistently.
When does it become a pollution?
Okay. Noise becomes a pollution when it's, like what she said, unbearable.
That's just
Constant-
noise.
Yeah,
So when does it become noise pollution?
when it affects you. Like, okay, for example, the doctor said when you start feeling it. Okay, like when mine happened, I got exposed to a noise that affected me. And it affected me in such a way that I felt the sharp sound. You know, it was a loudspeaker. And immediately the speaker made the loudest of its noise. Like, I don't know, I don't want to shout. Just that sharp sound. I felt the pain in my ear. I felt the pain, but because I was not educated about it, I never knew it was harmful. All I just said was, if this was what this guest was complaining about, then there's a problem. We have to put it off. So for like days after the event, I was hearing, you know, when you go to parties and after the party and you're hearing echoes, like you're still hearing the sound of the music. I had that for days. Till like 5 days, and it went off. Even when it went off, I just, well, I'm free. I can hear now. I never knew I'd gone deaf at that minute.
Whoa.
I was still hearing with my left ear. So
You were deaf in one ear,
Yes.
arising from the sound from a loudspeaker.
Yes.
So basically,
Jeez.
pollution,
Jeez.
noise itself is a pollutant. Anything that is not it is not expected to be where it is, or it's causing damage in any way, is a pollution. So noise itself is a pollutant, just like smoke in the air or particulate matter in the air. What has happened to her is an effect of noise pollution, basically.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, you know, to be clear, I mean, you said that you didn't know about it at the time, but then there are more than 20 million people in Lagos who probably don't know.
Yes.
I mean, and this is just Lagos. And Lagos is one of those, you know, centers in Nigeria where there is a lot more knowledge, a lot more information than a good number of other parts. So how serious would you guess that the noise pollution problem is in our country?
It's very serious. Okay, after my incident, and I started my foundation to educate people about the same problem, what noise can cause to you, the danger, the expensive treatments you have to, for me to be able to hear you again, because I eventually went deaf totally on both ears. Wow. It affected this one profound, and it affected this severe. The severe only lasted for 1 year. So for going to 6 years, I was deaf, totally deaf. I wasn't hearing anything. So if for it to happen like that, I had to start telling people, oh, this thing, you just have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself. And in that process, I met a lot of people with the same problem. I met a lot of people. Oh, there was this mosque, very close, church close to my house. Every morning I wake up with them and all those stuff. I just discover I can't hear again. So I have met in the process. Even people had their companies and everything. And it's so uncountable. I also went on research after the whole process, and I read something on WHO website that says by 2030, by 2050, 60% of Africans are going to be deaf because they are actually not doing anything about it. That's alarming.
Ooh, doctor. Doctor, you were here last year to tell us about this campaign.
Yes.
Now, how effective has it been? Because the Danfo driver on the road is still unrelenting. He's still playing music on his honk. The churches they still have their big microphones.
60% of Africans being deaf, there's various range, is a wide spectrum of deafness.
Deafness, okay.
You see people who are 40% deaf and they don't know. Yeah. They just think it's part of...
No, I don't
That's
know.
how it is.
No, just hold, just slow down. How can you be deaf and not know?
So
I'm an example.
I was first 6
there for 1
days.
year, I never knew.
So there's different
you
types
could still
of
vaguely
deafness.
hear.
I was reading lips.
And you didn't know?
I did not. Until when people, like you're sitting here now, talking to me, oh, so, and you just tap me. I'll be talking to you. Oh, sorry.
What did you say?
Yes. I'll
So
be
that's
talking
the
to you.
spectrum.
And I'm like, oh,
You know, Kelly,
I'm so sorry. I got carried away.
People actually adapt.
Yes.
I remember my grandma used to shout a lot to talk. And if you're not near her, I was young, she would shout that, speak up. She was deaf, tone deaf. And there's different level of deafnesses. For instance, you could be sensory deaf, that normal human decibels is not affected. Yet you can't hear a certain decibel that, like dogs and dolphins. They have different hearing spectrum. So do we. The ones that don't pick up sound, like you and I, like you can hear me now, can go totally zero and you wouldn't know. There's motor deafness, there's sensory deafness, and there's the slow one where you start to adapt. People start to move their ears close to you. They start to look you right in the eye, like you said, or they start to
And you start reading lips.
Yes, it's part of, it's normal.
You talked about decibel just now.
Yes.
What's the normal human range?
Okay.
Normal human, of course, we know there are some people.
So spirit. I don't know what you're talking about. Who hear things?
Normal human beings.
Okay. So, to hear, the decibel has to range from like 12 to ridiculous amounts that will bust your ears. Now, from science, we have done research, and researchers said there's a certain amount of decibel of sound that you can be exposed to daily, during the day and at night. In Lagos State, it's 82 during the day and 67 in commercial and industrial areas.
Decibels.
That is acceptable. In industrial areas, there's a lot of noise. In homes, is even in residential areas, is even lower. It's 42 during the day and 61 No, 42 at night and 62 during the day. 42 at night because ambient noise is reduced. All the car horns, all the industrial noises. And that is why night vigils in a system where we don't have enough electrical support and grid, and we go to low income, high density area, and there's an organization who has a gen and is having a night vigil, and every other person is just, fanning or the best an inverter.
Yeah.
That's pure noise pollution. And I'm very happy today that between last year and this year, and I want all those watching at home to start to notice that the churches, the mosques, especially on the island and VI, the clubs and restaurants, even some big churches are now soundproof. And apart from that, we start to advocate that even those of you inside, and that's why Kemi is my poster girl, because she was doing her work. It wasn't the neighbors complaining. It was the guests that called her that thing is a little loud. At that time, she had heard the pop. I'm sure she was wondering that if it's so loud, maybe. You can imagine how many people got affected that day and continued to live with it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Mrs. Remidaro, about the level of consciousness, not just awareness now, but consciousness of people. I would assume, because for me, if I heard a program like this and I heard, what the GM is saying, I'll probably be wondering, is there a technology I can install on my phone that can help me measure the sound that I can?
Yeah. There's something on, there's something called decibel meter. It's if
That's
you have
big English. It's noise meter.
yes, there's noise
Noise
meters.
meter.
On every Android phone.
Every Android,
And it
iPhone,
is
decibel
free.
meter. If you just click decibel, it brings it out. It has sound. There are free apps. You upload it on your phone. So once you get to anywhere at events, just put it up. Check the percentage of what it is. I do that a lot. Any events now I get to, immediately I discover that it's going to 100. That I'll just walk down to the engineer. I'm so sorry. One engineer was even proving it to me that this one is hand-owned, that hand-owned is inflated, that it's too high. And I said, you can't tell me that. You have to reduce it, or I just create a scene here. Yes, I do it a lot. I said, Google my name, you will understand what I'm saying rightly. So you have to reduce it. I do that for my neighbors. Once anyone is having a party and the DJ wants to break everybody, I still did the same thing yesterday. I went to a salon, and inside the salon, there was one noise coming out. There's a bread factory close to them. In fact, I've made the complaint already. There's a bread factory. Two things they are committing: sound, noise pollution and air pollution with smoke everywhere. But the sound tone was constant. The gen from the generator or probably they are listening. So once you know, she said something about 100 meters, mommy. 100.
So when we want to measure noise pollution, like you want to report an erring neighbor, church, mosque, salon, 100 meters from the source of the noise, according to Lagos State laws. If you're in a residential area, daytime it should be 55, nighttime it should be 45. But what Kemi is talking about is right when you're in there.
Okay.
And it's interesting because we have taken our advocacy and Noiseless Lagos campaign to churches, to mosques, to motor parks, and to clubs. I have met a DJ who's been doing that thing for like 14 years.
He's protected, isn't he?
No.
No, it's not.
Oh, but
His
is he wearing a
headset.
head? He's
Only for
wearing a
him
headset.
to-
It's
No.
direct to him.
What we hear outside is what they hear.
Oh, God.
The one who is protected is the aeronautical engineer on the ground by the plane. because that noise is too much for human bearing. That will be at the source of the noise. It cannot be more than 90 to 100 decibels. Even if it's just there, you're putting yourself at arm's, in fact, in danger, consistently, repeatedly. It can be a Christmas concert or banger. She's an event planner, so she must have been near speakers
Oh, quite often.
quite often, and she was losing it slowly, and that day the eardrum couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, Doctor, you didn't answer my question, which was from when you launched the campaign to now, how successful
So
has
I
it
was
been?
going
What
to
kind of
say-
progress are you making?
We're making quite a lot of progress, because at least for one, people know there's an agency you can report noise pollution to. And we get about 300 to 400 reports every day. That is a progress. People didn't know that there was any agency in Lagos. They just lived with it. Secondly, I am always proud to say NASFAT actually announced that all their mosques remove the megaphones outside their mosques. NASFAT is not a main mosque. It's like a fellowship. But they're educated and well-studied people. And they realized that the Holy Book did not say anywhere.
And they were free to disturb their
Yes,
neighbors with noise.
and even in regular mosques now, it is being preached that anything that affects your neighbor is haram.
Okay. This conversation continues after this break. Do stay with us. Yes, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We were talking about the level of success of the campaign.
Yes, I was saying that it's been very successful, that right now I would want Lagosians to start looking out for people that sell music in traffic. They've reduced drastically because Section 187, subsection 1 says it is an offense to display or engage in amplifying your religious beliefs, advertising your goods, or talking to the general public above a certain decibel in public spaces in Lagos. And I want you to try it out. They have been educated. We gave them time. We spoke to Music Association marketers of Nigeria and gave them our laws. And I'm also happy to tell you that go to Ojota Motor Park. We took this campaign there, and within a few months, till today, we were there a few days ago, they don't use megaphones anymore. They use signboards for people to know what is going. The chairman doesn't like horns. He says it is not a toy. Stop, bam, 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 bam. And number 3, you cannot sell alcohol in that motor park, because it's starting to realize that the noise is affecting the people. Alcohol leads to more accidents. And so people are learning. The campaign, as far as I'm concerned, Noiseless Lagos, has been very successful.
Is
because
it replicated in Urile and Ajegunle?
try it.
Anoshodi.
I'm saying that
Those
because these
Zamfo
areas
drivers.
were... See,
No, I'm talking
many-
about motor park now.
Yes.
They have their rules.
Okay.
There's certain motor parks that still...
What about Danfo Parks?
Ojota is inter and intrastate.
Yeah.
They're Danfo Park.
Yeah. So what
But-
about the Danfo drivers who still play music on their
So
honks?
now, our next campaign is to NURTW.
Okay.
The truth is, a lot of us, including, I'm sure you and you, learned how to drive. Maybe you, officially, you rolling
you
your
very
daddy's
much.
car out
you.
of the house. People don't
Boys.
know.
Yeah,
People
we-
don't
you know.
know when to use the horn or not, because we all didn't go to driving school. I'm sorry to say, even I was taught how to drive by my dad. And the horn is like, hey, how are you? in the university campus. I see you in fellowship, you know. So we have to go back to the drawing table. And we're working with FRSC as well. For you to get a license, they have to start educating you. It seems daunting, but nothing is impossible.
I think you just underscored something important here, which is taking the campaign, the noiseless campaign. And I'll come to you about the event planning thing, because I was going to ask you about that one. I didn't know it was something that you do. But taking this campaign to individuals to own the process as opposed to the motor parks and all those things, because people still have parties within their homes, not knowing that they endanger the lives of their, party participants and political party campaigns and all of those things. Taking that campaign to the individual, I think that's a daunting task.
Very daunting, as with every other campaign. Even check your blood pressure and exercise and take care of your health.
Please don't let my doctor hear that one.
So the truth is, what we're preaching, what the governor is advocating in Lagos is, let people take self-responsibility. Find a way. He doesn't want our revenue to go up from fines. He wants people... I say to my people that the higher revenue we have from fine, it means we're not doing our work, low compliance. And the governor emphasizes that all the time. So what we have to do, like he said, I like this media. I know a lot of people watch Sunrise. The horn and persistent noise is dangerous. We realized in the motor parks, we did hearing tests just last week. Kemi was there. 30% of those that have been there for more than 10 years failed.
Various degrees of
You were there. We had a consultant ENT surgeon. Some didn't even, but some came out to say, on this side, but on this side. From years of, they start being conductors from age 10. And then there's a study also conducted by pediatricians in University of Ibadan. And it says that children that grow up in noisy areas have lower IQs than children that grow up in quiet, calm, educate themselves in quiet areas. So what we're advocating now is go on to LASEPA website. It's very interactive. There's an opportunity to report noisemakers. And a lot of the things, you would see it there. People would say, thank you for coming to our aid. There was a 78-year-old man who wrote us a letter. It's right in the reception. That this is the first time he would enjoy anything from government. He didn't know he could report the religious organization next to him. And he had lived with it for 20 years.
Growing up, there were some areas, there were no horn areas. Any such thing in Lagos
I am
now?
happy that you said that, because September 22 in Lagos State is our No Horn Free Day. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of education. And we are planning to pull it off with NURTW, private individuals, drivers, and not horn free if there's an emergency.
Okay.
September 22nd.
Because I was looking, the day may change. I'll let you know the day.
How is that going to happen?
We'll come
no
back
horns?
before the day.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to
have
it.
a horn-free hour.
I'm looking
But
forward to it.
are there any areas where no horn is allowed?
Oh, yes. We have started putting our no-horn signs, horn-free zones. LASEPA has horn-free zones. We have to do a lot of advocacy and educate people. But right now, 90% of our government hospitals are horn-free zones. We have put
the signs
there. People have to get used to the sign before enforcement. So we have started asking for fines, seizing cars, and there's compliance.
Okay, I hope we won't come up with what we'll call noise police. We'll come to that one. But let me ask you, is there a need or a plan, or is this something already in the works for event planners to have some form of, to have noise reduction or whatever it is, I don't even know how you're going to call it, in planning events.
Okay.
Because, oh God, it's one reason I don't go to any event.
The music is
We
too
actually-
loud. The
two
food
years
is
ago,
cold.
2 years
the drink
ago,
is hot.
2 years ago, my foundation organized a program. You know, events is actually my industry. So aside the fact that they all knew my story, because we all came together to make this, my hearing, happen. So 2 years ago, we did a program, which is called Sound and Hair, which we had all stakeholders in the events industry. The program was organized by my Nigerian Foundation. We brought all the stakeholders together, engineers, DJs, band, event planners, everybody, to educate them on the noise pollution their music actually causes at events and how it affects everybody. And at that, okay, the event planning industry, we have an association, which I'm a board member as well. So with that, we decided to take the responsibility as event planners ourselves to be a police to those bands.
Oh, so you are the nice police.
For events, like I said earlier on, I do that a lot. Once I get to any event, what the first thing I do is, even at the time they are actually doing their sound check. Once you're doing your sound check, then we check it. We check it together. You do sound check. I check the decibel check, the decibel meter and everything to know if it is okay. You hear some band, you know, the problem we discover is actually most of those bands actually don't have the good speakers. Some of their speakers are not
Obsolete
insulated.
technology.
Yes. And that was why the program actually included engineers. Another one is coming up very soon. It included engineers.
Well, how about those? I'm glad you mentioned musicians, and I'm sure that Dr. Fisher will also want to, speak to this. Musicians usually have their own personal receptacles for sound. You use a headset as a drummer, so you're doing the right thing. As a guitarist, as a saxophonist, as a trumpeter, and all of those things. Each of them, sometimes they use, their own devices. Is there any way, because, once they are behind their equipment, most of the time, the only thing they want to hear is their own equipment.
Yes.
And if it's not loud enough, the engineer is in trouble.
You know what it
Yes.
is? Sorry.
Hey.
There are sound technologists
Yes.
and sound engineers.
Uh-oh.
We mix them together a lot in Nigeria.
Okay.
A sound engineer will never let you go above record. It's not even good for the musician.
Not
It will
even,
go
not even all the bands can afford
a sound
technology.
engineer.
So
we
Okay,
all
there's some reactions here for you, Madam GM. Kivie says, I should please tell you that the noise from the speakers in Ojota Park is still terrible. They still sell sachet alcohol in the park. Maybe she should visit those places more.
No, there are 3 parks in Ojota. This one is called BOD. And I assert we did reconnaissance several times before I can publicly make this ascertainment.
Okay.
BOD Park
Okay.
in Ojota.
Professor Inakena, what of people using earphones and their music is so loud that if you stand beside them, you can hear the sound of their music? Can the users be susceptible to deafness?
Yes. 100%.
Capital yes.
100%.
100% yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just one last question and then we round this off. Ayade is asking, is the identity of complainants protected? So people who report noise pollution in neighborhoods are not ostracized?
So today, just this morning, I was talking to a friend of mine in a particular religion. Somebody sent me a long complaint that there are 2 mosques. The first one is cooperating with the Lagos state laws, but the second one preaches all day and night. However, he's a Muslim in the society. He would like his report to be kept anonymous.
Okay.
And up till now, nobody knows who made that report, and we have rectified the situation. The website is very proactive.
Okay.
And you can come anonymous on our website.
Well, someone did ask, so how does he report a case of noise pollution? So they just go to the website.
lasepa.org.ng.gov. Report noise pollution. Upload a picture, upload a video, time when, and we will be there.
Okay. So all we can do is wish you all the best in this your campaign in a very noisy, should I say noisy
Be
Nigeria?
optimistic.
Or noisy.
Come
No,
on.
I mean, you're making progress already. So well done. Will also be in order.
And good luck.
And we wish you all the best for the future. And we look forward to the Horn-Free Day.
We would run it together.
Amen, she
Thank you
said.
very much for coming, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, GM, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as LASEPA, and Kemi Remidairo, who is the founder, Kemi Remidairo Foundation, who actually went deaf from noise pollution.
No, please. Loud speaker. It's easier.
Full stop.
Okay.
We'll be right back with the next conversation. Stay with us.
COVID-19.
Safe. Exactly what does that mean? We're just about to find out. A representative from that technological company is here to talk about it. Dison Vera Cruz is Chief Operating Officer of Town Talk. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, the natural question is the elementary one. What is Project Safe?
Yes.
What is noise pollution? What is Project Safe?
That's a social studies question.
That's a very, very important question. So thank you for having me. I'm from Town Talk. You see, we've been talking a lot about insecurity today. I've been backstage listening. And without needing to state the obvious, Nigeria is in a decade-long insurgency war. We have this herder-farmer clash. And we have this rise in kidnapping, right? Currently, as we speak, 618 schools in Nigeria are closed. That's a lot of students out of school, out of fear of kidnapping. But the truth, again, is that these issues don't affect you and I on a day-to-day basis, right? We are the regular victims of kidnapping, of banditry, and the vast majority of Nigerians aren't, right? We're more vulnerable to communal violence. We're more vulnerable to our own personal sort of safety and security issues. And to make this matter worse, there is this anxiety, right? Because there is no information on what are these risks? What is happening around? Okay, when I am in this emergency, who do I call for help? We've just heard LASEPA talk about several ways that you can connect with emergency responders. But on my phone at the moment, I have several location-based emergency contacts, right? So the lack of information is just something that is missing, right, to keep people safe. And so Project Safe and Town Talk is engaging to empower Nigerians with the information to mitigate security risks at all levels.
I'm sure you also know that there is a new word now that I hadn't heard all my life until recently. It's infodermic.
Yes.
So how do we know?
Yes.
How do we separate Project Safe from the infodermic as a result of the pandemic that we are already in?
Indeed. No, that's a very great question. In fact, one of the major challenges to combating insecurity in Nigeria today is the lack of access to credible information, whether you're an individual or even whether you're a government agency that's working to secure the populace. And individuals as well get fed with a lot of information on what's going on around them that isn't true, right? So what we're doing at Project Safe and with Town Talk is we're launching a series of technology solutions, very inclusive and innovative solutions. One of them is the Area app, where people can share nearby events, and people near that event can participate
in verifying it either by saying they've seen it or submitting other forms of pictures or whatever. So we're able to control really how information flows. We also have a directory of 10,000 emergency response contacts across Nigeria. That's everything from police, fire, road safety, even artisans. And you mentioned the pandemic as well. A lot of people have been stuck in their homes over the last year. Sorry. And a lot of people have had home emergencies. Can talk about a number of times that something has gone wrong with my electricity or my water, and you don't know who you're calling into your house to fix all of those things. So having access to verified response channels is another thing that we're providing. The Area app is also available via USSD. So you can think of people in remote locations, people without smartphones, being able to just get information on what's around them and also on how to get help. And then there's a toll-free line as well, which has sort of automatic voice responses that helps people sort of just find key information that they're looking for.
Okay, so somebody is listening now and is interested in getting the information which you provide.
Yes.
How do they go about it?
Sure.
One, how much does it cost them? And if you're providing this for free,
Yes.
how do you make your money?
Okay, no, very, very good question. So once you join any of our ecosystems, right, you're able to also submit and share your experiences, what you're seeing and what you're
How do
going
we
through.
join?
You download the Area app, right? Simply by going to your Android Play Store, your Google, or your Android App Store or your Apple App Store, and you search Area by Town Talk. Or you can dial the USSD code
Area by
Town Talk. Or you can dial the USSD code, which is *347*0#.
Which I don't have my phone now.
Register with
tried
us.
it now and
Oh,
let you
sure.
know
Go
that-
ahead. Go ahead. And it's a very engaging platform. It's what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a community.
Area by Talktown.
Area
Talk.
by Talk
Town
Town.
Talk.
Town Talk by Town
Yes,
Talk.
indeed. We're trying to build a trusted community. of users.
I'd like to begin with the USSD code. You give us that one right away. But let me ask you, what informed this idea, this ecosystem of Town Talk?
Yeah.
I ask because it is not the first time, that people will come up with such innovative solutions. But then after some time, it either seems to pan left or pan right and doesn't particularly address, the issue. So what informed it this time around? Because, as I said, it's not the first time. It's not the first.
That's a fantastic question. See, at Town Talk, like I said, what we try to do a lot of research to gather information and use that information to make decisions, right? So we didn't just sort of see that, there's a security climate, there's an insecurity climate, let's release a security app. Over the time, as we've been doing our work, as we've been going out there to gather information, as we've been trying to help our clients or even beneficiaries try to stay safe, we've realized that all of these challenges are things that even we face and that even a lot of our beneficiaries face, right? The access to credible information, keeping up-to-date information on reliable response contacts, challenging fake news, and just sort of building a safe community. So this has been a series of iterations that has created this ecosystem. And the reason why I believe it's going to really have a long-lasting impact is because we at Town Talk are an innovative company, right? We don't just sort of build and leave and go ahead. We're a solution-focused organization. And the solution we see to this is building a community, which is what Area is about. It's about people coming together and realizing, Area, we see it as a call to action. It's a phrase we all use in Nigeria, right? Area. And so we're trying to call people to action to act together to ensure communal safety. And when people are engaging in that community, they enrich it. They fill it with ideas. They actually contribute to ways that they need to feel safe.
Pretty much saying people should own the process.
Absolutely.
But in owning the process as well comes the challenge of marketing it to the people.
Yeah.
And we're talking about urban, Nigeria here. But don't also forget there is the suburban Nigerian, there's the rural Nigerian. I mean, you mentioned the fact the other time that, areas that do not have internet access and all of that. So how do we communicate this technological intervention for safety
Yeah.
to them? How do we get it to them, so to speak?
That's a very good question again. Thank you. So at Town Talk, we've partnered with the Social Science Academy of Nigeria. It's a 30-year-old organization that does social impact research in Nigeria. We're working with them to tackle what we see as provide safety to vulnerable populations in Nigeria, which includes sort of disabled people or even women who experience violence. And our collaboration allows us to partner with a range of non-governmental organizations that provide both security, legal, medical, and even psychosocial support to people in remote areas. And these individuals are acting as ambassadors, taking this solution into their communities, particularly the toll-free line and the USSD line, like you mentioned, and open up these response channels to these people in remote locations. And in fact, on the 20th of this month, we have a virtual convening for our NGO partners, where many of the current partners and prospective ones who want to participate in this can join. We walk through our technology tools and we share information on some of the challenges that we've had. So if anyone is interested, they could just go to www.projectsafe.ng and register if you're an NGO that would like to tap into this ecosystem.
You didn't answer all of my questions.
What was your last question?
Okay, we should go to Area by Town Talk.
Yes.
Okay. Is it free?
Yes, it's free. The Area app is free. The toll-free line is free. You are allowed a certain number of toll-free calls to emergency responders on the app in a given month. We also provide users in the app with a certain number of megabytes, about 100, so that they're not left out of digital response channels. So you can use the app up to 100 megabytes of data on the app if you do not have internet data on your phone. If one of our NGO partners, for example, is supporting you through the area ecosystem and NGO services are free, again, that is free. I can preempt your next question, which is how we make money.
Exactly.
The USSD, right?
You're giving all this
No.
for free. So I mean, no company is in existence to make. You are all in business to make money.
Yeah. No. You're absolutely right. I think going back to what I said at the beginning, in Town Talk, we try to gather really hard to collect data because the truth is there's a data gap on the African continent. There's a lot of information that we need, but that we don't have. And so, we're talking about security today, but it could be across so many things. One thing I should have mentioned is the USSD, the toll-free line, are all in Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin, and English. So, again, looking at languages, trying to fill that gap in how people can access a lot of these channels and really experience the full richness of technology in their local setting. So what we do is we also support organizations, businesses that are looking to stay safe, that are providing services to Nigeria on a day-to-day basis, that are bringing valuable food from one part of the corner to the other, of the country to the other, and need to protect those assets so that Nigerians can benefit from their labor. So we work with them to keep them safe, provide them with information, and make sure that they're able to deliver those services to Nigerians.
And they pay for those services. Okay, don't answer that one. But you
He
talked
still
about,
didn't say how they were making the money.
No, I don't.
I
No,
just
please
said
don't
that.
let him say it.
All right.
No, it's important.
No, we have to extrapolate.
No,
Fine.
it's important.
We
Of
have
course,
done that.
People pay for to stay safe. As an
Exactly.
organization, it's important because you talk about when a company is supplying food across the country, you're talking about 2,000, 3,000 people that work for them that they need to keep safe. That the success of their work depends on how safe they are. And so yes, it's definitely something that people pay for.
Yeah, and
Okay. The USSD?
you pay for the USSD as well.
No. The USSD is free on MTN and subsidized on other lines.
Okay, what is it, please?
Star 347 star 0 hash.
347
Star
zero hash.
So I'm gonna pay if I'm using other networks.
It's a nominal fee. It's barely up to £1.
Okay.
If I extrapolate that 1,000 times, it's gonna be quite something. Don't you think?
Yes, I mean, we will all, like I said, we're innovative, right? looking at what we've done so far, where we've tried to bring the solution as close to people as possible, bearing in mind that Nigeria has one of the highest data costs per capita income, right? The minimum wage of 30,000, and Nigerians spend approximately 7,000 naira on data a month. So we will continue to find and develop innovative solutions to make sure that Nigerians have access to these resources.
In these areas.
Yes.
Okay.
How do vulnerable populations hook on?
Yeah, sure. So the USSD line, once you sort of dial in, you register, you tell us your gender, what specific issue you're facing, and we have a series of follow-ups and check-ons that are done either through a small call center that we operate, or we also place somewhat automatic voice calls that ask you basic questions for us to just have a good understanding of what your issue is and how we could then refer that up to support channels.
Educating them is going to be another job of work, but
Indeed.
we're glad for what you're doing already on Project Safe, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Disun Vera Cruz is Chief Operating Officer, Town Talk. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So we're back in a moment for the
Home
home stretch. Do stay with us. I almost got out my decibel meter.
when he first started, right?
Well, BJ Sachs, thank you so much. Oh, but that's supposed to be you introducing him, but don't get jealous.
No, Max, of course. You know who that person is. Actually, his real name is Bolaji Banjoko, but you all know him as BJ Sachs.
Is that Banjoko or Benjoko?
It's Banjoko.
Oh, yeah, just
Thank you. You were very quick to correct him. Thank you very much, BJ Sachs, and you are one of the finest in the land, as far as we know.
It's okay to blush. It's not a sin.
Well, yes, I'm doing that already.
Yeah.
And he's the convener of BJ Sachs Live, an annual gospel concert, which he could not hold last year, by the way, for obvious reasons. But let me surprise you. BJ Sachs is a mechanical engineer.
Oh, yes.
Do you use the mechanics on the site?
Well,
Okay, have you even used that certificate before?
well, for 2 days. I worked for 2 days
2 days. Where?
at airplane servicing company.
So why did you run away after 2 days?
It wasn't working.
What do you mean it wasn't
Okay,
working?
so I was BJ Sachs before then, so I finished. After serving, got a job, but I didn't want to do the job. But my first 2 days at the job, I was just 100% sure that this is not for me.
Wait.
So you ran away.
After 2 days,
Hold on.
You didn't even give yourself time. 2
I
days.
was very sure. I was 100%.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was 21 or 22.
These 20-year-olds, 20-something-year-olds,
Oh,
they
boy.
just know the...
That decision I made was good. If not, I won't be here today.
Oh, you could be as a...
But you could have been doing that job and be playing your sax as
Funny
well.
enough, playing saxophone is not, being a musician is not easy. I actually work every day. And when I mean every day. So the time and everything wasn't going to work together. In fact, we have to force ourselves to take vacations because of the very busy schedule. So people don't understand. People ask us, what do we do Monday to Friday? We actually have work Monday to Friday. We have things we have to do, aside rehearsals, we have programs, we have things that we need to do. So it's a lot of time.
Now you're going to have to tell us what these things are that you have. Apart from rehearsing, there are other things you have to do,
So
such as...
It's a system. We have an office. We have staffs.
aside band members, we have representatives that attend meetings. We have receptionists. We have
They attend meetings regarding what?
regarding events. So when there's an
Okay.
event, there's going to be a pre-event meeting. They call it vendors meeting. So you know what this person is doing, what that person is doing. There's an accountant that pays the band, that manages the flow of funds in and out. For example, if a band is, let me just give you this example. If we have a band of 7 or 8 thereabouts, and you do 4 gigs in a week, at the end of the week, you're going to pay them per gig, per event. You understand? And as simple as it sounds, it can be very, very tedious.
And you can't do all that by
I
yourself.
can't do all that by myself. I can't be on stage and take calls from people that want to make inquiries all by myself.
Some would say, you young people, you've been talking about technology. Don't answer that one.
Okay.
You know, I just want to ask this: how much? Well, we've talked about the administration
Yes.
of what you do, but how much work goes into the operation of it? Now, because I mean, it sounds so simple when you say you go for a gig. You know,
That's why by going to the details.
you know. So I'm asking that because I mean, Alero would also confirm we've seen your consistency in the trajectory over time. Consequently, BJ Sachs has not just become a product but a brand. Definitely, quite some work has gone into the operations of your activities. Give us an idea of the discipline it takes and where some may have missed it in getting the same thing done.
Okay, you see, we are creatives, you know, and because we are creatives, we have to create time to create. Now, for every gig in quotes, there's a sound system and there's the quality. No matter how good I am, if whatever is amplifying my sound is not good enough, quality.
You call us a
Aside quality, of course, of course. So sometimes enjoying music is not about the loudness, it's about the quality of sound.
It's never about the loudness.
It's
I
never about
promise
the
you.
loudness. It's just about the quality. And to get that quality, there are a lot of things that need to go in place. There's the time factor. You probably need to set up a night before. Make sure that you sound check. Make sure that you check the decibels of sound so that you're not... Personally, as an artist, when I'm playing and I see someone frowning, it turns me off. Because you're meant to enjoy my music. So if my music is inconveniencing you, then I'm not doing the right thing.
No.
So everything needs to be gotten right.
Do you have your own equipment?
Yes, I do.
All the way?
Yes. So to maintain that quality for every, except it's a performance, where all the sound system has been sorted, you just get there. And even at that time, you need to go and do your sound
Check. Yeah.
But I was asking, when I ask about the operations I'm talking about, Kiki, before a gig, what are the things that the real performers on stage do?
Before the gig, you have to rehearse. And rehearsal, my personal rehearsal is different from the rehearsal with the band. So you have to rehearse with the band. Each event has its own peculiarity. What is the event about? What kind of music are you playing? If it's a burial, you can't go and jump up and, you know, it's a burial, who died, is the person young, is the person old, what religion? There are so many things to consider. You understand? Even after considering those things, the event venue that you are they comfortable? Are they settled? You don't expect people to come into the event and start dancing immediately. Psychologically, it takes people a while to settle down before you begin to take the tempo. There are so many things that go. You can't go to an event where people are hungry.
Oh yeah, you can. You just
begin to play a kind of music.
You just play to yourself. You know.
understand?
So
You have your own band?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Now, I'll also like that. Some would say, wait a minute, BJ Sachs, what? Musicians, they just play other people's music, so what's the big deal?
There's a big deal. There's a big deal. Because I'm a saxophonist, we do covers. But we have our originals. Our original arrangements that we tend to force on people. Force on people because around here, people are used to listening to known songs. Yes, so when you're playing an instrumental,
of something they've not heard before, then you have to really do it right. So we have to make it sweet. Play patterns that are easily, that is easy to assimilate. That's why you play pam 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 pam. You understand? In few of those kind of things, you put them together, and it's always awesome.
Is that where the idea of BJ Sax Life came from?
Oh yes. So BJ Sax Life came from the fact that we felt my style, I play gospel jazz, and in that space, I wanted a situation whereby people can come. It's not a comedy show; it's a music show. People can come and enjoy music. Originals, covers, for myself and a few other people, come together, enjoy good music, we praise God, and go home blessed.
So where is BJ Live taking place tomorrow?
So, BJ Sax Life is tomorrow, and it's actual and virtual. And
Egole.
Okay, actual and virtual, before we come to that very important question of Egole, actual and virtual means you're going to have live events.
Yes.
Live event, are you going to have people in the hall?
Yeah,
or
just a very few people because
Very
of the
few.
situation around and the numbers, approved numbers and all those things. We try to make sure that we follow the rules and regulations of the country. So we have very few people.
I'm going to ask
COVID
you-
protocols.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that in any way saying that the cost of attending virtually is different from the cost of attending actually?
Sure, if you want to be there, real life, then Egole.
Egole.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, tell us now.
So, well, it's sold out already. So,
Oh, okay.
the
And so
only
just
option,
for our information.
for your information, the only option available is to join us virtually. We have our supporters and people that sponsor the events, and those are the only people that are allowed to attend.
Okay.
You understand? So every other person can join virtually, actually for free, because the people attending actually have paid for them, so people can watch.
They've covered your cost.
Yes, they can
Okay.
watch from all over the world.
But you see,
for free.
it's not free.
Well,
I'm going to spend data.
yeah, well,
You will spend your data anyway.
you spend your data for watching.
So, what about
Free?
those who want to join you virtually, Jerry? So, what do they have to do? Where do they have to go?
So you can join us online, BJ Sax on YouTube. You can join us live.
BJ Sax.
Yes, so just search BJ Sax on YouTube and join us.
That's it.
C'est fini.
Simple.
I was going to start writing.
Yeah, no need to-
There's no need to write.
I'm going to ask you this, and I
BJ
don't
Sax
know.
on YouTube.
And
Yeah.
the other platforms you can check on our social media.
Check on Instagram.
On Instagram, on Facebook, other platforms are there.
There is a difference between instrumental and jazz, yes or no?
Jazz is heavy use of instruments, so it depends on how you look at it. Jazz itself is the heavy use of instruments. So jazz is a style. Now the content, that's what you're saying or what you're passing across with the music, is what makes it either gospel or...
No. There are some that say that it's playing instrumental music and playing jazz music are two different things. Maybe you don't agree.
I don't agree with that. So there's traditional jazz. Traditional jazz is what we do. Play instrumental of traditional music. You understand? So if I'm in India, for example, no, I'm not in India. If I'm
Let's take a
Oh, no,
short
you're
break.
not. You're not.
Let's take a short break. We'll be back for the concluding part of the program. Do stay with us.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. BJ Sax is still here with us. And I just asked him a question. I said, mechanical engineering, that would have cost his parents quite a tidy sum. And he,
No, it's Martin.
and he decides that he wants to go and play the sax.
In fact, my
What
dad
did
wanted
your-
me to be a professor.
Bro,
I'm serious. He wanted me to be a
you
professor.
can be a professor of this.
Yeah, so I'm a professor already.
Well, what did your mother say?
Okay, so they were supportive at first, but when they saw that every time saxophone, they
What do you think?
what's going on? So I had to make sure that I sorted that part. I made sure I read and I passed at least, But because I started playing from secondary school,
Oh dear.
we are built. So before I finished the university, BJ Sax was everywhere already. So I had results to prove that I can actually go on doing this. So And that was how, if not, I don't know what would be happening by now. But they were very supportive, very, very supportive. Because they knew I've won awards from saxophone playing.
Before you graduated?
Before, yes.
Now, you also know, I know we're drawing closer to the end. You also know that there are many, many much younger people than you now who want to get into music, and they're so blinded by it. They probably don't have the right culture, or they do have the culture, I don't know. What would you be telling any one of them right now who wants to go into music, do nothing else but music? 16 years old, 17 years old, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old at the time that you started. But what are those things that they need to have?
Know.
Thank you. And they need to know
First,
before they even
they need to understand
venture.
that there's a process. And the process is not same for everybody. You understand? It's also very important to know that you have to find strategies to put food on the table.
You're telling a 16-year-old about strategy?
Yeah. Reason being that, see, we all see life early these days. When we talk about see life, for me, whatever I was getting from home wasn't enough, so I needed extras. So this was what I was using to get the extra. So a lot of us, even the younger ones now, we call it side hustle. You understand? So whether you like it or not, education is very important. It is very, very important. For me, one of the things that helped my saxophone playing is going to school, because the way I run my business is different. It's totally different. There are things that directly or indirectly, studying mechanical engineering has impacted, and I'm using that in my business. You understand? So just know your process, and education is very, very, very important.
But it's one thing to have the education, it's another thing to use it all together. I mean, the kind of error, we talk about this quite a few times. The quality of education that people get,
Yes.
How does it even get into their subconscious to automate it?
I don't even want to start that. You know how they say draw a cockroach? And don't even let me, I'll use mechanical engineering, where we all have to draw whatever it is, but we don't know. We've not seen what we're drawing. So we'll probably look at the textbook and see whatever is there and try to draw it. We don't know what it looks like. So later on in life, some of those processes, when you see them, you just look back and say, why? Or what's going on? Why? You understand? So it's education and all this is another topic entirely that if we start now, we won't even end it.
So
But
don't
the
let...
long and short of it is that your advice is whatever it is you want to do, education
It's
is the
very
basis. You
important,
need
yes.
to get that education
Yes.
out of the way,
Yes.
and then you can go into your hobby or side hustle or whatever
Whatever
it is.
it is.
Music, we've had lawyers
And it's not
here
just
who've been
music, you know.
musicians.
If you are-
We've had surveyors who've been musicians, but they made sure that they got that pali first.
It's very important.
So the pali is very, very important.
Very, very important.
Even though people say that Nigeria is a country of palis. Well, if you want to go out and look for a job tomorrow, what you're going to use to get that job
Is your pali.
pali.
Uh-oh. Well, BJ Sachs. 1 second, please.
Now he's behaving like an old man.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much, young man, for being here.
Thank you, sir.
I want to wish you the best. BJ Sachs tomorrow.
BJ Sachs live.
DJ Sykes live.
The live tomorrow.
Yes, Grandpa.
It is virtual and actual.
Yes, Grandpa.
Thank you, darling. So
Yes, Grandpa.
you want to play that sax before we get out of here?
Grandpa, don't forget to send our support.
I'm grandpa, I'm not father. So
I knew something was going to make you stop this grandpa thing.
Thank you
Grandpa's
very much for
collect.
coming,
Thank
BJ.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You will play us out after we have signed off for today, and that BJ Sachs closes our program for today. I'm Alera Edu, wishing you all the best, and we'll see you again next week with a fresh edition. Stay well, stay safe.
Amaya Makinde. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.